Why does nobody talk about this Persona game? You get all the fun of regular Persona 5 with all the storylines, cool characters, all the interesting stuff like that. Plus, you get the gameplay of Dynasty Warriors. How could that go wrong? Today, we're going to look into the sequel of Persona 5 and see why Persona 5 Strikers is not talked about as much as its predecessor. I think the biggest surprise about this game is that it even has a story to begin with. Like, Persona 5 ended in a very good way. Like, everything was tied up, there was no questions about everything. It was good. I was happy about the ending of Persona 5. And then when Strikers came out, I was like, oh shit, more Persona 5? I'm down for that. And it's not even like they half assed this shit either. Like, even the villains are really fleshed out. It's surprising. And I don't know how they did it. I really don't. And the best part with that, you still got all of your favorite friends that were with you all throughout Persona 5. Got Ryuji, your best friend, and slightly best girl. She's number 2. Makoto, best girl. Like, these characters are still really good and they're still written very well in this game. And since that we have established timeline from Persona 5, you still have those same moments that you had with them, bro. Like, they're still there. They're still the same exact characters. And that's really good. Like I said earlier, this is Dynasty Warriors meets Persona 5. It's not a turn based game, it's a real time action combat game. So you got all the fun parts about Dynasty Warriors, so like really cool combos, a lot of different diverse characters to use. And on top of that, you still got all the fun parts of Persona. So, for example, the character Joker, the main character, he has multiple personas. So he can use multiple different personas as he fights. And on top of that, you get to use all of the other characters, their own playable characters. You can use them, fight with them, you can use their personas. They grow throughout the game. This stuff is awesome. Like, never would I ever thought that this boy Yusuke would have like a Virgil type moveset and he's just hacking and slashing like he crazy out here. And then you got Morgana. This man is turning into a car. You driving into people with Morgana. Like, what? How hype can that get? This game really hits all of those sweet spots of an action RPG. However, I think they really dropped the ball by not having multiplayer online or offline. There's no multiplayer whatsoever, and I feel like this would be the perfect game for that. Just like the Tales of series, it's just like that. You could have just multiple players playing this game, and it would work perfectly fine, I'm pretty sure. Or if it wouldn't, that's probably why they didn't implement it. I will say, however, that the combo system is a little bit lacking. Everything is basically matched to 2 different buttons, which, gets a little bit boring after a while. Of course, there are still interesting things you can do with summoning personas and, all out attacks, stuff like that. But the main combat is a little lacking. And of course, when you're trying to lock onto opponents, that can get a little confusing because right when you kill an opponent, the camera will just unlock and it won't lock onto another opponent immediately after, which can get a little disoriented whenever you're playing. One really sad thing about the general gameplay of the game, though, is that the confidant system, as well as the relationships, that is not in Persona 5 Strikers. This was not like a full Persona game. This was just more of like a add-on with a lot more based on the combat system instead of the actual other stuff that people enjoy in the Persona franchise. However, the devs did implement the bond system, which is a little bit like confidants. Basically increases through interactions with party members, winning battles, and progressing through the story of the game. And they can do a variety of different effects to help the player. So there is something that we have there, just nowhere near as in depth as the confidant system. They even added some really cool monsters into this game. So there's basically boss fights that you can just randomly run into, or there are these super boss fights that I'm not even entirely sure how you can beat. Like, they're extremely difficult, have way too much health, and you can't really damage them. I'm not entirely sure what the devs are thinking with that. Maybe just to give players some extra challenge. But these things are absolutely insane. And it's really cool to just find ways to beat these behemoths of monsters. There are still some mechanics that did transfer over. So, for example, cooking, you can still cook in this game if you really like doing that, as well as the store. The store actually looks really cool. One of the characters introduced in the game by the name of Sophie. She has like really cute animations for the store. It makes it a really interesting experience whenever you're just going to buy something. So now let's get to the part that everyone's waiting for. What happened to Persona 5 Strikers? when the game came out, it came out the box swinging with completely new game mechanics that have not been shown in the Persona 5 franchise or Persona in general. It's always been turn-based RPG. So what happened? Why do people not talk about this game as much as they talk about Persona 5? Is it bad? Is it good? Well, let's talk about it. In all honesty, the game sold pretty fucking well. Like, compared to all the other games in the franchise, Persona 5 Strikers sold really well in the East. Now, don't get me wrong, of course, even in the West, the game was received incredibly well. However, it's not talked about nearly as much as Persona 5 in general, or even including Royal. Royal was extremely popular in the West. And I think that comes down to some of the major mechanics that weren't included in this game. Like, for example, the confidants and relationship forming that people are, that's what really drives some people to the Persona franchise. So by that not being in the game, it definitely changed the player base a little bit. On top of that, the same turn-based RPG style that fans love isn't what this game is. Like, this game is a lot more Devil May Cry-ish, if you can even think of it that way, compared to the old turn-based RPGs that people have grown to love. And that might be why people don't enjoy this game as much as the original Persona 5 Royal. Developers really took a dive with this game and tried to do something completely different than what they usually do, and you definitely want to commend them for doing so because it gave us an amazing game. However, it kind of stepped on the feet of all the people who got them there in the first place, and that might be why the game isn't as received as well or talked about as much in the West. You can even look at other games in the Persona franchise or the Shin Megami Tensei franchise, Shin Megami Tensei 5, which was extremely overhyped, and then as soon as the game came out, nobody talked about it within a week of that game coming out. Not that the game was bad by any means, but in comparison to Persona, it's just not what fans are wanting at this time. At the end of the day, the game is definitely a really good game. If you have played Persona 5, I would definitely recommend playing Persona 5 Strikers. It's a good game. Like, it's a really good game. If you like Dynasty Warrior Combat, this is definitely the game for you. I mean, this game sold 1.5 million copies worldwide. If that's not a big number to you, I don't know what else to tell you. You should definitely check out Persona 5 Strikers. It's a really good play. And that is it for the video, guys. Which Persona game is your favorite? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.